Can we talk how we're starting off the new year on a great note with this podcast?
Like, how is this even going to happen today? Like, the preparation that has gone into today's podcast?
I mean, I don't think I'm ready for this year yet.
I think we need it, like, 2018 is holding on with a death grip.
Yeah, I think so. Like, I'm sweating. I've got a screwdriver in here. I forgot my water. The cords are, like, not giving leeway.
The lights are off. The mics are off. I mean, everything is just off. All right.
With that said, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you, too. We're going to totally spoil Bird Box because everybody was talking about that. The memes were everywhere. Can we just start 2019 over again? Please.
So good. So good.
So if you had to sacrifice a kid, could you choose? We're going to talk about that coming up.
We're really going to go into this
We're going to talk about that. Absolutely. Did you end up watching Black Mirror Bandersnatch?
Yeah, if you consider getting through 1/4 of it in about a 3-hour span, yeah. We'll definitely talk about that.
Isn't it like an hour and a half long?
Let's not talk about that. I said we can talk about some things. We're not, take it easy, take it easy.
Well, Happy New Year. How was your New Year's Eve? Okay. About as good as mine, it seems.
Yeah.
Or do you just not remember it?
Yeah.
Really? Did you go to the estate?
I did.
Did you black out at the estate?
No, I made it through midnight. My friend did, though, but that was fun.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. It wasn't until afterwards when the shots and champagne continued after the party.
After midnight?
After
1?
After 2.
After 2? That's when they started? Oh my God!
So, but
okay.
But it was a great time. Great
that's
time.
Good.
A lot of friends that were in from actually out of the country, out of the state. Like, was able to get together with a good amount of people. It was good.
2018 it was like when they get rid of demons or ghosts and they try to hang on and take anything they can with them as they're being like extinct.
Really dark, but I totally get what you're saying.
I feel like 2018 is. Like 2018 was going out like grabbing onto anything it could to hold. Like, look, did you see this? Can you see it?
What happened?
Like right there?
What happened?
I full speed nailed my head into the cage. Full speed.
There's other ways to get in than ramming into it. I'm sure your sweet dear cat would have loved to share or swap spaces with you.
I'm like,
just saying.
Let me in.
Just saying.
He's like, let me out. Let me out.
Aww.
I'm like, let me in. Yeah.
Little guy, how's he doing, by the way?
We're going to find out in 3 weeks. We got to bring him in for x-rays. And when I say we, I'm talking about me. I don't know why.
You're really the one being analyzed here. Let's be honest. You're freaking ramming into cages. I think your little guy's okay.
In 3 weeks, he goes back for x-rays. Hopefully, knock on fake wood, the pin comes out, and then he's in the cage for 2 more weeks. But I don't even know how I did this. Like, I was kind of looking at him through the side.
It almost looks like you got,
opened up.
Scratched, though.
Well, because, like, the cage, like, the squaring of the cage, that's what that is on my forehead. If you're not watching the YouTube video, I don't even know where to look.
First of all.
Because the camera's lower. We got to look there.
Oh, wait, hold on.
So right here, I was looking at him through the side, and I decided to come around the corner, and I don't know if I just didn't I couldn't even tell you how I did it, but I literally, like bang, like WWE style, like
first time,
bang, like let me in, and it I keeled over in pain, and I didn't realize that it opened up until I saw it, and So 2018 was holding on to you for dear life.
It was just a straight roller coaster for me. I can't even say I've seen so many posts. Ariana Grande's, for instance, was very tough. It was just.
I didn't see her post.
Yeah, you'll have to go back.
I saw her post about dating and how she's not going to date in 2019.
Yeah,
she's just going to worry about her. So, yeah.
I think I'm on that same train with her.
I'm with her about that.
Yeah,
I'm kind of thinking of just skipping ahead to 2020. But I watched New Year's Eve.
One thing, you just brought something up that reminded me to instill some hope in me. So remember when we had our holiday party?
Right.
I don't know if I told you about this, and if I'm repeating myself, well, it's going to happen again.
Right.
We had a astrologer here. And,
I remember that.
Yeah, and I don't ever do any of this stuff like the fortune telling, astrology. Like I hear there's more logic to that, but I don't screw with any of that.
Well, you know what's crazy is Janet used to play in our softball league. So I saw her walking in the building.
Wait,
I'm like,
really?
Janet! Yeah, she used to be a catcher for I think I want to say WFLA's team.
Dude, Janet's awesome.
She is badass.
She's awesome. And let me tell you, if I'm going to do anything like that, whether it's astrology or fortune, I'm going to go to her.
Yeah.
With that said, she did tell me to call her up if this doesn't happen. So one of the two things she told me is for the new year, I'm going to be doing better off like professionally or financially. There's going to be some growth. Tommy Chuck, are you listening? Chris Septic, are you listening?
Make sure to tweet because Tommy trolls on Twitter.
Thank you. I will. And the second thing was that you will find love, but true love. And no, correction, said it will find you in January of 2020. So ladies and gentlemen, we're in January 2019. I got one more year to go until true love eventually finds me.
You really are trying because the Star Goddess is like, let's just skip 2019.
Yeah, Janet, come on. I got your number. So if it doesn't happen, I've got 12 months to just literally figure it out. And
New Year's Eve, I watched Ellen's Netflix Relatable, the new special.
You told me about that. How was it?
But okay.
No, you did.
Oh, I did?
I've got text to prove I'm crazy. Not that crazy.
The past few days have just been a blur, an absolute
Clearly.
blur. But I watched it. It was so good. And it's her first stand-up in, I want to say, 15 years.
Oh.
Did you see her stand-up when she first came out?
I don't think I've seen any of her stand-up.
You need to watch. It was literally the first stand-up after she came out. And it was so good. Like, I can go back and watch. It was so good. I have it on DVD if you still have a DVD player.
I sure do.
We could skip back to, like, 2018 when DVD players were a thing.
I seriously will.
And
I've got time to kill
I think it's called New Beginnings, I want to say.
Yeah,
it was
hand it over.
really good. Yeah, you watch it. But you need to watch this one, too. Relatable was not only
Where did you watch it again?
Netflix. Not only was it really funny, but it was very insightful, too, because she talks about her past.
Yeah.
And she talks about when she came out and how everything pretty much, like when she lost her job, she lost her TV show, she lost everything she was talking about. She lost all her money. She lost everything.
Look at her now.
And look at her now. Exactly. Let's do some spoiling.
Perspective, guys. Perspective.
Let's do some spoiling. At Brian Fink, I'm looking at the, like, I don't even know where I'm looking now. I'm looking at the computer. Hey, thanks for watching on YouTube. Oh, we're over here. Hey, thanks for watching on YouTube. At Brian Fink, at April on air. Thank you so much for following and subscribing the Totally Spoiled podcast because this has been 3 weeks.
This is our third week.
Yeah, because we wrapped up just before Jingle Ball and then we did the Die Hard debate. And then now this is the first show of 2019. So make sure to subscribe and follow because it'll pop up a notification when we finally do. But now we're on track.
Yeah, I think so. We're working on it.
So Bird Box.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I was getting into because I saw like everybody was bipolar with it. It was either you loved it or you were like, this is stupid.
And if I'm not mistaken, on Rotten Tomatoes, it's like 66%.
Oh, no crap.
Yeah, so I was like, between that, even though I really don't look too much into that, between that and it literally being blown out of proportion in your face. Brian, every time I would freaking log into Instagram,
you would see a meme.
The first thing circulating on my feed is something related to Bird Box. I'm like, okay, I went into it thinking it was going to be bad. And I know you gave me crap for this last night when we were texting because I said it was amazing, and you're like, okay, it wasn't amazing. So I'm like, all right, hold your own opinion. It's fine. Brian saying it's okay.
The two memes, which I had no idea where it was going to go. The one was her blindfolded in the boat. And then the one with the guy holding the lady's eyes.
Yes, I was about to say, you better say that part. You better say that part.
I was like, I don't even know where this is like coming from. I had no idea. I thought it was going to be like almost exactly like A Quiet Place. Which I'd imagine, since you don't like scary movies, you didn't watch A Quiet Place.
I know exactly what you're talking about, but I have not seen that.
So, but do you know what the movie was about?
The gist of it. It
was really good. Like, surprisingly good.
So better than Bird Box?
Yeah, I think it was better than Bird Box. Yeah, the whole movie.
So if I was okay with Bird Box, would I be okay watching?
No, this was much more scary and suspenseful and...
gory, because let me tell you, certain parts, like talking about the older lady when her eyes are being pierced open.
Right.
And how she gets stabbed with a freaking...
Well, she doesn't get
scissors.
stabbed. She stabs herself.
Well, he controls her to stab herself, but
No,
basically...
she doesn't. He doesn't control her.
No.
Once she looks and sees it, she starts killing herself. Yeah, that was pretty intense.
I'm holding my neck because she stabs her neck to death.
Holding my neck because I got to go to the chiropractor after this, and my neck is barely holding on right now by itself.
We have different situations happening, clearly.
I think one of the funniest things about Bird Box is that younger people that are watching it have no idea who Sandra Bullock is, so they're like, "Oh, it's the woman from Bird Box," when actually Sandra Bullock.
Who would say that?
Like,
because I'm about to fight them. That is literally my spirit animal.
Yeah, but
I love
Sandra
her.
Bullock, like, they don't know her history like we do. And I'm not saying we're old. I'm just saying we know Sandra Bullock's history of Speed, of Gravity, of Miscongeniality.
The Proposal.
Well, did you see Gravity?
I did.
Oh my God! If you haven't seen Gravity, it's Sandra Bullock, George Clooney in space. Which, when the commercials came out, I was like, Sandra Bullock, George Clooney in space. But literally,
amazing.
It opens up, and the first few scenes, I stopped breathing because it was so intenseful. Intenseful, is that a word?
Let's roll with it.
It's a word
2019.
Now.
Let's
like,
go.
literally stop breathing because it was both of them just kind of. Oh my God! It was such a good movie.
We agree on something. We're off to a good start.
Do we agree that John Malkovich was amazing in Bird Box? Do you know who John Malkovich?
All right, then we agree on two things.
Okay.
I know who.
Well, I just want to make sure because you were kind of just staring at me. Whoa! Am I going to be the lady? We're going
to do some reenacting.
You need to see it. You need to see it. Trevante Rhodes, who I didn't really know who he was, but Trevante Rhodes was amazing too.
I didn't know who that. Okay, I'm not.
I didn't. Yeah.
Who's that?
Oh,
I didn't know.
I don't know the character names from Bird Box, but he was the black guy that Sandra Bullock
ended up falling in love with. Tom.
Yeah, Tom.
Yes. So
I said to myself, you should probably write down the character names, and then I said to myself, nah, whatever, just wing it. And then Lil Rel, who was Charlie. I remember Charlie.
Good job.
Yeah, Charlie was a great character. Like, everybody in this, even Machine Gun Kelly was good.
Yeah.
I mean,
it threw me off a little bit. I knew, going into it, I knew like the cast, so I knew he was going to be in it, but still seeing him in it threw me off. I didn't see him like fit with the rest of the cast per se, but yeah, I mean, he did great.
I mean, he kind of fit the part. I mean,
did we ever find out what happened?
What happened to him?
Yeah, well, him. Wait, no, it was him
both
and the girl. They both
they
took
just
the
take
car.
off in the car.
Assholes.
Great.
Assholes.
Not gonna put the explicit. Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, there's a lot that's really not discussed and wrapping everything up.
Like at the very end. Sorry for like fast
Wait,
forwarding
don't skip
so
here
much.
Yet. Make a note.
Okay.
Make a note. Don't skip here yet.
Mira, my notes are up here.
Okay, we'll see if you remember. I'm going to make a note to see if you remember. Let's see if April remember. Okay. Sarah Paulson.
You just shook on lunch for the next week, by the way. So.
That's what I shook on?
Yeah.
I shook
Continue.
on? I shook on it?
Shook on.
Sarah Paulson. I didn't know she was in it. Like, I didn't really see commercials or anything for it. So
for what? For
Bird Box.
I mean, but there really weren't. I mean, what you saw was what was taken over by the socials and primarily like Instagram. I didn't see that much going on.
I didn't see trailers or anything for it, and then all of a sudden I started seeing the memes and everybody talking about it. I'm like, holy crap, where did this come from?
Yeah.
But Sarah Paulson, she is busy. She's American Horror Story. Sarah Paulson was her sister.
Oh!
Yeah, that's Sarah Paulson.
See, I'd seen her face before, and I was like, who is this? I didn't know that was her
Well,
name.
you don't watch American Horror Story,
I don't.
so she's in that, and she was obviously filming the new season when this was going on. Bird Box, she's also in the new Glass. She's the therapist in the new Glass. I mean, she is busy. And she was good.
Well, the little bit we saw her, I would have loved to see more. On that note, though, I was a little confused because this started with Sandra watching that patient in the hospital bang her head up against the glass and bleed out.
Okay.
Then all of a sudden, she busts out of the hospital. Her sister's already waiting for her in the car. And she's getting these, were they flashbacks? Obviously it wasn't, or that was real life happening.
Who? Wait, what?
Sandra, once she got
Sandra's
back in the car.
having flashbacks?
Yeah.
No.
Or that was happening then and there.
I am so confused where you've gone right now. But there's no. I mean, there are flashbacks, but it's just it's separate
reality.
timelines.
But what's happening right then and there?
When they're in
the
car,
that's not some altered universe. I mean, throughout the whole movie, that's reality that they're living in.
Yes.
Okay, so you understand my thought process.
I'm trying.
In this?
Go ahead.
When I went into this movie, even at the very beginning, I thought they were entering, like, when they saw these visions, it was entering some, like, altered universe. Like, I didn't know or didn't realize that had become their reality.
So when you say visions, do you mean when they're seeing the demon or whatever it is?
Not even that. Like, the fire going out, the, like, people dying.
That's all. No, that's all real.
I didn't. It took me about a good 15, 20 minutes going into it to be like, oh, wait, no, this is their reality.
Thank God I don't watch anything with you, because I could just imagine the experience of watching something with you.
It would be so much fun.
No, it would not. Because I'm the kind of person.
I did good when we watched A Star Is Born.
Very true, but it wasn't that confusing, and there wasn't that much timeline shifting and stuff.
Whatever.
But are you the kind of person that will hold on to everything and then, like, after it's over, you'll ask? Or, like, while it's going on, do you go, is this really happening right now?
Oh, no, that's annoying.
Okay, good. Okay,
no.
So we're on the same page there.
We're on the same page.
Yeah, everything happening was in real time, except for when they would flash back to the other timelines, and they would put, like, 5 years ago.
So even when her sister wrecked the car, she was fine until then, and then she saw the thing.
She saw it, yeah. And Sandra was looking for whatever the cell phone in the back seat. That's why she didn't see it.
She missed it.
Yeah, and then I mean the scene of her just stepping in front of the bus. Whoo! Wow, that was intense. Can we talk about how impossible it would have been though to drive to a grocery store with no windows and just relying on the GPS?
Yeah, that's why this is called a movie.
Yeah, but I mean, come on, be realistic here. Like, I listen to my GPS a lot. Like, I plug Waze into my car, and it comes up on navigation and stuff. But like, there's times where it'll tell you too early, so you'd be like turning. Like, I don't know how.
Oh yeah,
that would not have been
not
possible
reality
at all.
It's not reality.
It's not reality.
So do you think that's where Machine Gun Kelly and his friend took the car off to?
To the grocery store?
Yeah.
Well, my thinking, and correct me if I'm wrong, my thinking was that a lot of the supplies were still in the car, and they took off with the car. That was my thinking, and I don't know if that's the case or not. I don't know if they emptied everything out of the car.
I thought they did.
I know they took a lot of stuff out, but I didn't know if they took everything out. I don't know if the car was empty or not.
I want to say it was, but then again, I mean, it was never really, like, proven or disproven.
But the way they took off makes me think that the windows still had to be blacked out because they painted them.
Yeah.
I don't know. I that's a storyline that kind of, they were off and that was it. They were out.
Yeah, there's a lot of moments where I was like, this was, like, open-ended. Like, it didn't really, like, towards the end, I'll get there. We're gonna progress accordingly, but towards the end, as in, like, the very, very end, I had, like, a question once it ended. I was like, but...
Oh, I had a lot of questions.
But wait.
Another question was, by the way, have you ever done whitewater rafting?
I love it. I love it.
So that's another unrealistic part. I mean, excuse me. So...
the rapids?
There's no way to hit the rapids with blindfolds on.
Yeah,
I mean... I guess, actually, that would be what happens. I just think they would have tipped over a lot, or somebody would have, because I did rapids in Tennessee.
See, I love how you say that's what you noticed. What I noticed is once they were in the rapids, once they fell off, the intensity of the water, how the little girl that you later find out is named after her mother, Olivia.
Well, she names her after her mother.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Yeah.
English?
Yeah.
See?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, how Olivia made it to land, and how Sandra and the boy Tom, good job, how Sandra and Tom eventually find each other to also make it to land where she's at. There's no way in reality with those rapids, there's no way. And how she manages to still have the clicker and, like, cling, cling.
I mean, it could happen. The rapids could, like, take one to land different way. I mean, it's just however the waters are running. It could have happened.
Fair enough, but
I mean, that's
not likely.
To me, that's more realistic than being able to make it to a grocery store with just GPS and no windows at all.
Look, technology can do a lot of things, and desperation can do a lot of things, and when you combine the both, we'll just roll with it.
Let's think about desperation here. So you're going into rapids where you know you're going to have to see. You've got 2 kids with you. Can you choose which one is sacrificed?
No, and that's why she didn't.
So going, like, leading up to it, I'm like, and obviously I can't relate because I don't have kids, but like, let's say I'm going into the rapids with my cats. And we've got Aiden.
This'll be fun.
We've got Aiden and Tucker in the boat with me, and I've got to choose who I sacrifice to the demon.
Yeah,
either
who would
Aiden,
you then?
I was thinking that she was going to sacrifice herself. I thought she was going to be the one looking and have the kids survive.
But then again, this was her logic. I mean, because
I know the logic.
Because I know Sandra.
No, I know the logic.
Was
sacrifice Olivia.
No.
What are you talking about? That's what she was gonna do.
She thought about it, but she didn't.
She thought about it. No. I know, but that's what she thought about a lot because the boy was hers,
right?
And Olivia was, yeah, exactly. So when the boy was like, "I'll do it," and she's like, "No, let's think about it." He's like, "No, I'll do it." She's like, "I'll choose." He's like, "But I'm saying I'll do it." She's like, "No."
And then the girl, she's like,
God.
"I'll do it." I can't even sound nearly as cute as her, but her face, her eyes.
Oh, so
I die. I'm watching it and I'm like, don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't do it. And the reason why I think what I was going to get at, Sandra decided no one was going to, is I don't think she didn't sacrifice herself for a selfish reason. She didn't sacrifice herself because she was thinking how the kids were going to fend for themselves without her. So I think that's what it was. She couldn't pick or choose because at the end of the day, she basically had both of them. She just didn't birth Olivia.
Right.
She had both of them from day one.
But I think one of the incredible things, even though I'm kind of on the fence of whether it was amazing like you said it was or not, I think one of the incredible things was the progression of the character's story. And that's what a lot of the movie was about, was her finally accepting kids as her own and accepting love into her life. And I think that was one of the moments when, because you see her flashing back to remembering giving the toy and her speech. And I mean, so that was a moment. That was a great moment.
And even way, way, way further back when she was at her place and painting, and remember how her sister was like, you know, how she was going to feel going into this being a mother, and it was just kind of like foreign to her. Like she wasn't really prepared to be, she definitely not excited.
No, I mean she's kind of exactly like her paintings. She was by herself,
that's
and
well said.
And that's why she had kind of never left the house. That's why she doesn't speak to the mom. That's why she's just kind of a loner. Yeah, absolutely. But there were definitely, like, that moment got me. When they get separated in the woods.
I was going to say that was the moment where she talks to the little girl.
Trying to get her to come out.
Trying to get her to come to her. Yeah. And convince her to keep the blindfolds on just searching and having hope for a life. You know, giving her that hope that she was so against and what she and Tom had gotten into a fight about way earlier on.
About the tree in the story.
About the tree in the story, about just instilling, you know, fantasy in their life. Can we put all things aside though and think about that the things Tom was talking to the kids were everyday normal things that we can experience. Obviously we know it's a movie, but what if that was reality? Would it be worth still living?
Wow. That just got
it's deep and dark, but think about it. I mean, I thought about that throughout the movie. They are fighting and searching, and by they, at the end, once Tom dies, it's the three of them. How do you know where you're going is going to promise not even a better life, just a life? Like,
so you're saying to yourself,
and that where you're going is even a place, because remember they
don't know.
They don't know.
Right. So
she was so hesitant and also concerned of, like, how do we know we're not being set up?
Yeah.
You know? How do you find that balance or that strength to keep
So you're like, is it even worth
going?
it? That's what you're saying. Yeah. You know,
you're not safe.
I don't know. Yeah.
You're not safe. You can't.
So you're saying why keep fighting at that point because everything's so dire?
I don't want
to. It's like if this is going to be the world we're going to live in, why live in it?
Not so much why, but how. It's how do you find that strength and that hope that she herself didn't even believe in, but she had 2 little kids to fend for? How do you do that? Well,
it's actually it's crazy that you bring it up like this because if you watch Ellen's new Netflix special, she talks about being so low. She talks about, and not to totally spoil it, but I'm going to totally spoil a part of it. She tells this story about I think she was like in her 20s, like 21 or something, and her girlfriend got into a car accident and died. And she said she was living with her at the time, and everything at that point spiraled. And she ended up like living in somebody's basement that was flea infested. She had lost everything, and she was like, there was just a light in me that kept me going. That literally, like somebody asks her, when you've gotten to your lowest point, when you've lost your show, when you've lost friends, you've lost money, you've lost everything, how do you pick yourself up to keep going? And she discusses it. So it's actually funny that you bring it up like that.
And you know what, Brian, whether you're a spiritual person or not, or believe in karma or not, or whatever you want to call it, I personally believe we're all instilled, like we're given like these 5 senses, like see, touch, smell, hear, yada, yada. But there's...
Wait, what's the 5th?
Yada, yada. You named... Wait, see, touch, smell, hear.
You named 4. Why would you just name the 5th?
Wait, okay, so see, touch, hear, smell, feel. What are you? Help me!
I don't know.
You don't know.
So go ahead. Let's pretend like you
yada
named
yada.
5. Yeah,
yada yada. Okay, yada yada. I don't like you. I really don't like you.
So epic.
No, it's not rude. So, anyways, God damn, what was I?
So you're given these 5 things.
Thank you. I was like, where was I going with this?
Right, you're very spiritual. Got it.
But there's intuition we're given to, like that gut feeling that sometimes tells you, go here, don't go in there. Right. Like you should stay with this person, you shouldn't stay with this person. I think that kind of goes in line with what you just spoke about, that light. It's something you can't explain, Brian. You can't put your finger on. But just like Ellen, and I know this was a movie, like with, you know, Sandra, who played, by the way, if we didn't say it earlier, an exceptional role, I think, in the movie. Even though she was having a hard time believing herself that there was hope, there was something in her saying or telling her to keep going.
Well, I think
you can't necessarily explain that or put your finger on it, like wrap your mind or hand or something around it. But I feel in a scenario like that, and in reality, tying it to Ellen's show, it was something saying, keep going. There's still purpose.
Well, I think I think something about her character is, and I kind of saw this in one of the YouTube videos I watched after it, was that, yes, she was very negative and very loner, but she was still an incredible person.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the light that kept her going. Where, I mean, you see throughout, like even when the other pregnant, when Olivia tries to become friends with her and tries to sleep next to her, and she's like, so how's your family? And she's like, all right, I'm out. And she leaves. I mean, you see it throughout the movie, but she definitely does an amazing job of being a good person. Like even in the grocery store, when John Malkovich is like, screw the other ones at the house, let's just live here.
And she's like, we're not assholes.
Exactly.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
And how she... Okay, I didn't understand the whole point, or towards the beginning of the birds. Obviously, you see their role, and they play an important, big role.
Right.
How the way I looked at it, at least, is she saved the birds by taking the birds too. The birds weren't going to be of any benefit, at least at that point. She didn't know to them, but they were still a life. And she took them. Yeah. And that cage was freaking big.
Absolutely.
You could put more Pop-Tarts in the car. Just saying.
Those Pop-Tarts.
Just saying. Hello. You know?
So just going back to another spot that got me in the movie was the naming of the kids at the very end when they see the doctor again. And
Where did we see that doctor earlier?
That was her pregnancy doctor.
That's okay. Yeah, I was like, okay, yeah.
That's another thing that's kind of not explained is how she survives
how she made it too.
The whole thing.
Right.
But when it got towards the end, I was like, okay, this is a good movie. Worst ending ever. I don't know if it's because I didn't know what to expect, or I in my head I had already built up of how it was going to end. I thought it was the worst ending. I just thought that
I'll say this much. I thought it was very deep how where they ended up was a school of the blind. So the only ones that were saved were the blind. Did you you put that together?
No, absolutely.
Yeah, I thought that was very genius.
Well, here's the crazy thing is... Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying what I didn't get, and not to detour too much off of it, was so they made it there. The reality of the life and the darkness and the evil was still in their surroundings. Where were they going to be getting their food from? And for a second, I was like, were they growing it in there? But that was my thing. It's like, okay, so they found shelter.
Right.
Technically, they kind of had shelter when they were at their own home, too, and putting up the newspaper on the walls and avoiding the light. So how were they going to continue life?
Well, I mean, you're in the woods. You could hunt. You could fish. I mean, even though you're blind, you still have your other senses.
But that means you're still having to go out there and face the reality of what's going on.
But they're blind. They don't see nothing. They're never going to see this whatever the evil
being.
Is. Right. They're never going to see it. So they can go out and do whatever.
And be fine.
Yeah. Or they do have food somewhere. Who knows?
But what about those evil people that would want...
But it didn't seem like the evil people were going to come there. First of all, I think those evil people, the ones who react the other way to the evil, and
how did they not die or become suicidal?
So again, in this YouTube video that I watched, kind of explaining it, one of the things it discussed was there's two types of people. There's good people, and the evil turns them the opposite way into wanting to kill themselves. Like, for example, she talks about her sister would have never wanted to kill herself.
Right.
And John Malkovich's wife is an amazing person, but yet she wants to kill herself. So there's two types of people. There's good people where the evil turns them into killing themselves, or there's bad people like that guy who they welcome in, and he puts all the pictures of the evil out and everything. There's bad people. He talked about being in a mental ward, so it turns the bad people into...
Like the guy that tried to make her see in the boat and everything, too. Like, they were already bad.
They're already bad, so it turns them into not wanting to kill themselves, but wanting to harm other people.
Gotcha.
So those are the two types of people in the world that this evil, that's how it reacts to them.
Gotcha. Interesting.
But supposedly, and I haven't read the book, it's based on a book.
Bird Box?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The book ending is a lot darker than the movie. Supposedly, the book ending, this sanctuary that they get to, isn't a school of the blind. It's a sanctuary of people who have blinded themselves to get away from the evil.
Oh, my word.
Which is what I thought it was going to do. I thought they were going to blind themselves. Like, I thought Sandra Bullock was going to blind herself to get away from it. That's one way I thought it was going to end when it was going into that. Another way was that I thought that wasn't going to be reality. I thought that, you know how everybody right before they kill themselves were talking about, like when John Malkovich's wife, she said that she saw her mom, or she was talking to her mom.
Walked into the car, like the flaming.
That's what I thought this was going to be, was Sandra Bullock's reality that she sees. So I thought it wasn't real.
Yeah.
What was happening?
I wasn't seeing that.
That's how I thought. I thought it was going to flash to maybe like her, like killing herself or something. But with this
the kids,
was her
like
reality.
Having kids too.
But I thought that they had all, like, I thought the girl Olivia, I thought she had pulled up the blindfold when she fell out of the boat, which it came up, but I guess she hadn't looked.
No, she did. She did twice. She did when she got out of the boat, and then she did again
But I don't think she had opened her eyes.
Right, and then she did again, like I said, in the forest or whatever.
Right.
But neither two occasions did she actually open her eyes.
Right.
Right.
So I thought that the way it was going to end was that was going to be kind of like their false reality. And I think that's why I was so disappointed by the actual ending, because when it just ended with them all happy and being in this sanctuary and that's life and cool.
What's wrong with a happy ending?
I was like, But yeah, the book ends with it being a sanctuary of people who have actually blinded themselves.
Like pierce their eye out.
To get away from the evil.
I'm picturing this and this.
And that's one of the ways that I thought it was going to go. But right when it was over, and actually during it, when I was watching it, it was weird. I felt like I was in my sanctuary, like while I'm because I was so into it and it was so quiet in my house that I thought like I can't leave my house. Like there's the evil out there. I can't leave.
Yeah, let me just tell you. Remember how I told you I was like, should I watch it? Should I not watch it? Should I watch it? Should I not watch it? Even though it wasn't scary per se, it was extremely suspenseful. It was one of those things where it's like, I know if I watched it on my own, I would have been freaking terrified. So thankfully I convinced another friend of mine to watch it with me, and it ended up, actually we all got together. It was like 4 of us. One was just an asshole and kept screaming at certain parts, and I would have kicked
him out of the theater.
Yeah, I was close to it, but it wasn't even my house. So, but yeah, if I were to have watched that by myself, I would not have probably been able to sleep that night.
Yeah.
Especially because I think of windows, and like I said, not to totally change the subject, but there was a point probably about 2 years ago where, this actually happened twice, one during college and one about 2 years ago, where I've had really bad experiences with people being right outside my window and not even knowing.
That. Yeah, we've talked about that. And I put stuff in front of my windows.
So because of that, like I said, I think, unfortunately, I'm permanently scarred when it comes to anything to do with windows. And why even in my own houses, when I have a house, like I just recently got a house, the bedrooms, or at least mine, has to be on the second floor.
I'm the same way.
Not to say that something or someone can't still do harm, but I can't be on the first floor anymore.
Yeah.
I've been literally, like, not being a baby, I've been terrorized.
That's the way I am. Totally. My bedroom has to be on the second floor, and if somebody's going to come in through the second floor, then let them come on in. If you're going to put that much effort into coming in, come on in.
Grab some popcorn, buddy. Yeah. Because I already have a really bad history with windows, I can't do it. I would have been in really bad shape if I watched that by myself.
Well, I think now we need to go back and maybe read the book.
I thought you were going to say watch it again.
No. I think we should read the book to see. Supposedly, it goes along the same. There's a couple of other things, which if you want me to spoil, I will.
Go for it.
Tom, I guess, dies in the house. He doesn't die later on in it, like in the movie.
Oh, wow.
So there's a couple of things like that, but supposedly the storyline is pretty much straight to the movie.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we'll go back and maybe we could do a totally spoiled of a book.
Yeah, let's do it. What? Let's see how long this takes.
So now we need to go and watch Black Mirror.
You know what, buddy? I am in all support of you and this show and what we do, but I think I'm going to stop at the 1/4 marker. I pulled this little sucker up. It's at 1.5 hours long. I spent 3 hours. 3 hours getting through 1/4 of it. You're partial to blame for that, though, because while I'm watching it, I'm texting you probably for a solid hour. We're texting back and forth. So that probably explains where half of my 1 hour out of the 3 went into doing this, because heads up, for those that haven't seen it, it's interactive. I repeat, it's interactive.
Yeah, it's a choose your own adventure.
So you need to interact with the movie.
Yeah, but that's your problem. Like, that's what I tell you. When you're watching stuff, your ADD is so all over the place that you just need to put everything away.
Thanks.
But like, even to the point of like, you've talked about like you're eating cereal and the cereal distracts you. like you're distracted to thinking you're swimming with the Lucky Charm or something.
I am swimming with the Lucky Charm.
So you just need to put everything away when you're watching stuff.
I need to like go into tunnel vision. I probably need to watch. You know what I need to do? I need to get one of like. Can you let me borrow one of like Tucker's cones?
And just put that
so
on.
I can just put that on, and it's like this is all I'm doing.
And that's how you watch Bandersnatch. So it only lasts like an hour and a half instead of 5 hours like you do.
I'm gonna need.
And This Is Us doesn't last 2 hours when it's only an hour show. At Brian Fink.
This is how he tries to get out of further injuries. Just
before she stabs me with a screwdriver. Thank you so much for following and subscribing to the Totally Spoiled podcast.